Hi. Welcome, welcome. Hi, Amalfi. Um, Thanks everybody for being here. Hello, hello. I
Hi,
have
Colleen.
hi. I'm happy to see you. I have
Thank
a
you.
couple
Me too.
assignments to hand back. If you are turning in assignments on the computer, you get the response back on the computer. So please look at that. Please look at those scores. If you hand it in on paper, you get it back on paper. And I just put the score in a computer, but I don't write up anything about it. You're welcome. Always. Okay. All right, this is week 4. We're going to talk about descriptive and persuasive writing this week. Last week, we covered writing clearly and concisely, and that is considered writing to inform. So we'll move ahead looking at different purposes for writing. There's only a few of them, and they're not super hard to figure out. We are either writing to inform people of something, writing to entertain them, writing to persuade, or to describe. So tonight we are focusing entirely on describe. Anybody got any questions before we get going on this? Okay. Any previous assignments or anything that people have questions about? Okay. Reminder once again, totally fine to turn in assignments late. Okay. So if you haven't and something's overdue, don't worry, you can always turn it in later.
Colleen, is the descriptive writing,
Uh-huh.
is that the same thing as what you're talking about right now? As describe.
Yes, descriptive
Okay.
writing is the same
Oh,
as describe. So it's one of these categories. No, thank you for asking.
yes, ma'am. Yeah, I printed
So,
out all the packets, so I
oh,
was
good. Yeah,
making sure I
wonderful.
didn't miss anything.
No, you're not missing anything.
Cool.
So, yeah, so the purposes of writing, it can be inform, entertain, persuade, or describe. And so tonight we're focusing on describe with descriptive writing. And it's just about creating really thorough language so that people can visualize and feel what you're talking about. It's used a lot in narratives, novels, little less common in some of our like business transaction type writing. Um, so today we are going to focus on what are the characteristics of descriptive writing. We're going to do a partnered activity. So we're going to do some writing in here that you are then going to share with your classmates, get some feedback on, and that will then become your assignment to rewrite it. So just consider that as you are working on it when we get to that group writing activity, that it is the kind of part 1 of what will be a rewritten assignment. So it's worth putting the time in on the front end. We're going to complete that assignment. So we're going to apply these strategies to enhance the sensory aspects of writing. Because when we use our senses, we're getting a bigger, clearer picture of what's going on. And by sensory aspects, I'm talking about these 5 senses of vision, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. Sometimes when we describe something, we might be able to find words for all of those senses. Sometimes we can't. We might only have 2 or even 3 different senses that may be appropriate for what we're describing, but it's good to keep those in mind as we want to really take our readers there to wherever we're describing so that they can feel it and sense being there. So we'll focus on very specific descriptive verbs and adverbs and adjectives, honestly, to increase the attention and understanding of your readers. And then we're going to, we're not actually, yeah, we're going to fix common sentence structures in our own writing for that writing activity. Okay, let's take a look at what kind of constitutes descriptive writing. Again, people, please feel free to shout out questions if you have them as I'm going through something. Don't wait on it, just shout it out. Other people will have the same question. So, descriptive writing, what is it? It's going to help the reader visualize this person, place, or thing or situation that's described. When we conjure up vivid sensory impressions in a reader, it makes the writing more interesting, and it also helps us understand so much more what we're intending. So when we get those really good verbs that are really capturing what's happening in that moment, those really good descriptive words, we really can see and feel the whole thing. You remember it easier. So when you write better, your readers are comprehending better. So authors of descriptive writing use a variety of styles and techniques to connect with the readers, but it often has these same characteristics. Vivid details. So specific details paint a picture in the reader's mind and appeal to the reader's senses. I don't know if you remember when we talked very beginning of the term, maybe second class, about how you stay focused and keep your attention while you're reading something, particularly the things that are boring and or difficult for us to read at times. One of the easiest ways is to create that image, create a movie kind of in your mind of what you're reading. Well, if you're doing that as you're writing, then your reader doesn't have to work so hard. So we really want to like get the whole thing worked out. If there's unknowns, our brain isn't always sure what to do with them. It's harder. We're working and working to fill those in. If you use really precise language, not general adjectives, but very specific ones and strong action verbs, that it's going to give life to what's going on there. What, can anybody give me an example of a strong action verb? Think of anything. I'm going to shut the door while you're thinking. I know you can come up with something. So some action that is really giving you a picture of what's going on.
Is ran one of them?
Absolutely, ran is a good word, but is there another action word that you could use that would be describing how someone runs? Or walks?
Sprint,
Yeah, say that again, Michael.
sprint,
Sprint, great,
like
great
sprinting.
example. Yes. So now we know they're not just running, they are like going full out, creates a picture. Run could be a lot of different things, from jog to skipping is a really good one. Yeah. How about some different, more specific words for someone walking? Anybody think of a verb that is like another word for walking, but might paint a more specific picture?
Running.
Running, yeah.
Stride.
Stride, yeah, that could be it. Sometimes people might saunter or lollygag or drag. You know, there's a lot of different ways to get, yeah, what's that? Dilly-dallying, wonderful, yes. So just because we're going somewhere, there's like a million different ways that we could be doing it. So if you get more specific, then we've got a clearer picture of the emotional feelings of your characters, the response behind it. The other thing that we have to think about is how we organize. So this is true in every kind of writing, pretty much, that if we're not coming up with like a how-to step, we still need to describe things in a particular order. So descriptive writing usually includes chronological, which is time, something happening in time order. This happened, then next, and finally, or spatial location. Can anybody give me a sense of like, what would that mean, spatial location, in terms of writing? Any ideas? Yeah, it is like where you're at. So how would you describe, like, okay, so for example, if you were coming into a classroom and you were going to describe it, how would you describe it that in a way that makes sense? Yeah, so that's spatial. Well, we're going to go through it like you could say, you could walk in and go from the carpet is this up to the chairs, tables, up to the windows, walls, ceilings, and lights. So that is moving through space in a particular pattern. Sometimes we're describing things from top to bottom or moving left to right because we've got to go somewhere. And so it's not supposed to be about jumping from one thing to the next. We've got to move through space. And then another one could be order of importance. Right? Sometimes we're going to talk about what's the most important thing. When I come in this classroom, the most important thing might be this screen and what's going on up here. Then the next most important thing to you could be, I don't know, the recycling can in the back. Like I need to make sure I can throw away my, drink bottle when I'm done. So order of importance can work when we're talking about that as well. When we talk about describing people, a lot of times we're going head to toe. Start with someone's hair, move down to clothes, etc. Okay, great way to make sure that you are really describing something fully is to think about all of those senses. Is there a way to describe it with your eyes, with your ears, with your nose, with your tongue, and touch? So I'm going to, no, I'll do that in a second. Hello, Montez. Let's look at an example that has no sensory description at all here. My sister and I walked along the boardwalk each afternoon of our vacation. We watched the ocean and listened to the waves. Usually we stopped for a snack at one of the many stores that line the boardwalk. Afterwards, we walked along the beach and let our feet get wet. This paragraph absolutely tells us what they did. In what kind of organization is this? Do you think? Is it moving through time? Is it moving through space?
Would it be chronological?
Yeah, it's loosely chronological. That's kind of the best one. And our biggest key here is the word afterwards. So they're letting us know this happened, and after those things, we did this. So that gives us the clue of it being chronological. Okay, so now that this is that same paragraph rewritten, but it's going to include sensory descriptors of sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch. My sister and I walked along the boardwalk one afternoon on our vacation. The hot boards warmed our bare feet. We watched the foam-covered waves topple over each other and then slide back into the sea. The crashing water competed with the exuberant yells from the seagulls. We bought a perfectly oval fluff of pink cotton candy that dissolved sweetly in our mouths. Afterwards, we walked along the edge of the water, letting the warm, salty air blow our hair away from our necks as the cool water lapped over our toes. Okay, lots of sensory words in there. Let's go back to what those senses are. Remind. Okay, so there's sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. Can you find words in here that indicate sight? Some of the descriptive things that are talking about what they're seeing. I can make this up. Hot boards, is that something you see? Or so which one would that be? That is a great descriptor. Which sense is the hot board? Touch, yes. Watching the foam covered waves, we can see that foam. Yeah, great. What else?
Crashing water.
The crashing water, excellent. That could be visual. What else can it be?
Sound.
Yeah, we're hearing that too, that crash. Yeah, can you say a little louder, Richard? Yeah, excellent. What sense is it?
Sound.
Sound, thank you. Hi, ho. Welcome. How about, is there any taste in this?
Salty air.
Yeah, salty air, cotton candy, it's dissolving sweetly, and we're getting that salt. Excellent. Excellent. So you see this, they really hit on a lot of senses. Not so easy to do to get all of them, but usually we'll want to have at least a few. Okay, the other thing that we want to be sure to do is use vivid versus vague language. What does the word vague mean?
Mysterious.
Yeah, kind of mysterious, kind of not very, it's so general that we're not sure what it means. Vague is like, how are you feeling? Okay. Well, okay doesn't really tell me anything, right? It's like that could be anywhere. You've given a response, but it's not really making it clear. So Vivid language is going to give us some really specific information. It's going to give us those very specific action verbs. We're going to have a vivid image in our mind, right? Clear picture. For vague, it's a little mysterious because we don't have a clear picture of what's going on. So when you select your writing words or your descriptive details, then it should be creating that picture, that vivid picture in your mind, and not be vague or general. Let's look at some distinctions between vague and vivid language. So a vague example would be the food was unappetizing. So not that appealing, not that good, but we don't know why. A vivid example would be the pale turkey slices floated limply in a pool of murky fat. Yeah, that sounds pretty specific and disgusting. Vague language, the sprinkler was refreshing. Okay, refreshing's all right, but we don't know exactly how. We could rewrite it better. The cool water from the sprinkler sprayed our hot faces. Now we've got a much more vivid image of what was going on. Vague language, the traffic was heavy. More specific, our old car puffed as Main Street became clogged with a line of clamoring motorists. So some good verbs in there, clogged. It's not just heavy traffic, they're all clogged up. Making sense? We also have to think about what we want to avoid when we're using sensory detail. Sometimes we get a little carried away and we want to have so many adjectives or descriptive words that we're kind of getting lost in the excessive or unnecessary words. We might have too many adverbs. We're trying to modify or explain how someone ran, for example, when we could have just said sprint from the start. Then we don't have to say ran quickly, ran, we don't have to describe, we don't have to use more words because we found the right one from the beginning. So in this case, they're talking about kind of walking. She strolled into the room. It's more descriptive than she walked casually. We had to put two words together, but if we had a good descriptive word, we'd stick with that. We also want to avoid just cliched figures of speech, the overused ones such as green with envy. It's just something that's been said, the kinds of things that are said over and over and over. They're not really enhancing our understanding. They're just using common phrases. Words that go against rote thinking. Anybody hear that term before, rote? If you learn something by rote, it is pure memorization. So it's not using like any critical thinking. It's just like, I heard this once and I'm going to repeat it. I don't even necessarily know what it means, but I heard it and I'll say it. That's what learning something by rote or rote thinking would consist of. You're not really engaging with it or thinking about it. Again, the two most common ways to describe your writing, to organize your descriptive writing, is chronologically or spatially. So we are going to do things in order of what happens or moving from one area to the next spatially as we write. Okay, let me hand out just to give you more examples before we watch the video. I'm going to suggest, yeah, I think this is good to know right away. Take a look at this for a moment. I'm going to hand out a paper copy to those of you in the room. But it's broken up by our senses. So here's a whole bunch of kinds of words that might be useful to you in your writing. Words that describe sight. And I've split them up also into words that are like positive about sight and some negative words that we might use about sight. What do we see that is not pleasant to look at versus what we might see that is real positive? Okay, so for sight, some of the ways that we can describe things positively is vibrant, dazzling, gleaming, colorful. Those are all very like hype kind of words. If we're talking about something kind of dark and depressing, we might describe it more with a murky, grimy, dim, shadowy. So these are all these kind of nice descriptors that we can use. In terms of sound, something pleasant or positive could be melodic or soothing, cheerful, rhythmic, peaceful. If it is not a positive sound for us, it's negative. It might be grating, deafening, raspy, screeching, all of those things. For smell, some positive ones can be fragrant, fresh, aromatic, zesty, spicy. Ones that we might not like to have are rancid, musty, pungent, sour. And when I say negative around each of these, it's not like don't use these words. It's like if you want to describe something in a less desirable way, these are really great words that are less desirable. Touch, think about all the things you touch. Things can be silky or velvety, soft, warm, feathery, cool. They also can be rough, scratchy, brittle, bumpy, jagged, icy, all the feelings that we can have. So you want to choose adjectives that match the mood or the tone that you want to create, give that feeling. So if you're writing something descriptive that's going to be kind of scary, you want to get into those darker, more negative descriptors, make sure it's capturing the mood of the piece, and then mix those positive and negative adjectives together if you can to enhance that description. Sometimes things are not just all positive or negative. There's certain aspects that are like a chair in here, for example. It's a really great exercise to focus on something that's pretty boring to describe and then try to describe it. You could think about how there's metal legs to the chairs in here. They can be smooth and cool. Then the back can be rough and bumpy. Those sound like kind of positives and negatives together, but they're just describing the situation. So you can definitely have both things that sound positive and negative in the same description. And then different characters, if you're writing a story about someone, different characters are going to experience things in different ways. What's very pleasing and positive to one person is less so to another. My example always is, I love the cold, wet weather here. I love it. So when I'm going to describe how things are cold and wet around Portland and during the time of year when it's more cold and wet, I might use really positive, loving terms about the coldness and wetness, whereas someone else that really hates it and is longing for the sun is going to use some really negative words around that same cold and wet. All right. We're going to watch this video that gets into a little bit more detail how we think about the words that we choose. Needs to be a little louder.
Descriptive writing describes people, places, animals, or objects in such a way that allows the reader to build a strong image in their mind. Good descriptive writing shows rather than tells. Let's take a look at an example of descriptive writing. The cool evening wind moaned, toying with the tiring tree branches. Leaves tumbled off the tiled roof and fell to the ground, burying the yard under a patchwork quilt of yellow and brown. A curious squirrel scampered down the trunk and disappeared into a rustle of leaves. Notice that this text shows more than it tells. It shows the reader it's windy. It shows the reader the season. Let's break down 4 components that make for effective descriptive writing. Number 1. Pay attention to details. Whereas regular writing might see a red apple, descriptive writing sees the detail of the stem, the change in colour, the spots on the skin, and the way it catches the light. Can you see anywhere in our example text that shows the author paid attention to detail? Pause here while you look.
Okay. What are some of the details that you have identified? What are those descriptive details that you see in here?
The first sentence, the cool evening.
Cool. Yeah, cool is a good adjective. That is a detail describing evening. Excellent. What other adjectives?
Leaves tumble.
Humbled. Wonderful. That is a very vivid kind of verb. It's describing how they're falling. Great. What other details do we see?
Wind moaned.
Wind moaned. Absolutely. That's another very vivid verb going on. Hmm. Curious, yes, describing the squirrel as curious. Excellent, excellent. What do you think of whenever you hear that a squirrel's curious? What do you imagine he's doing? Yeah, looking all around. Maybe, yeah, good. What else? This is kind of chock full. What other details are in here? Yeah, patchwork quilt, yellow and brown. We've got some real site descriptors of what's going on there. Great.
Examples: tile and roof, patchwork quilt of yellow and brown. The second component of strong descriptive writing is descriptive language. We want to make sure we are using vivid verbs and precise adjectives. Vivid verbs are verbs that allow the reader to clearly picture what action is taking place. They are more interesting for the reader than the average verb. Instead of break, how about shatter, or fracture, or smash? Instead of walk, how about hike, or shuffle, or stroll? Precise adjectives are adjectives that are very accurate and specific in the way they describe. Instead of choosing multiple average adjectives, choose one precise adjective. Choose quality over quantity. See if you can find any vivid verbs and precise adjectives that have been used here. Pause while you look.
We've talked about some already. Moaned is one of them. What are, again, thinking about verbs. So verb is the action piece. What other actions or active verbs do you see in here? Including the ones that we've already talked about.
Tumbled.
Tumbled, that's a great one.
Scampered.
Scampered is absolutely a verb. Yeah. What else?
Would disappear.
Yeah, disappeared would be a verb. Anybody see any others? Tiring, absolutely. I see one more.
Scamper.
Yeah, we did scampered, yeah. Rustled, oh yeah. Rustled, I also see burying. So he's burying the yard. Burying, no, it's not the squirrel burying the yard. The leaves are burying the yard. All right.
Humbled, burying, curious, tiring. What effect did these word choices have on you, the reader? These words were chosen to help you build a stronger picture of the scene in your mind. A third component of descriptive writing is including multiple senses. It is easy to focus only on the things the reader should be seeing, forgetting to describe the other senses. Descriptive writing should also help us imagine what we could feel, the sounds, the tastes, and the smells. Read over this passage again, this time looking out for which senses have been described. Pause here while you look.
Okay, so we've found various things. Can you think of specifically ones for sound?
For sound.
Yeah, for sound.
Mound.
Absolutely. Yeah. Fantastic. Mound. Wonderful. Thank you, Michael. It could make a sound if you're scampering. That's possible. Rustle for sure. Yeah, we're gonna hear some rustling. Great. How about is there something for feel or touch?
The cool. The first sentence.
Cool. Yep. It's kind of, there's not a whole lot for touch, huh? There's not a whole lot. We can maybe imagine it if we've touched leaves that have fallen before, but there's no real words in here helping us get there for touch so much. How about anything for however, touch, we don't have to just touch things like the wind, the evening wind, that's we're gonna feel that as it comes. What about smell? Is there anything in here that seems to be about smell? No, I don't think so. Lots of things about sight. All right, we've got a lot of descriptors about sight in here.
Oh. Here the author has focused on the sense of sight, tree branches, tiled roof, yellow and brown leaves. Here the author has described what the reader should hear: the wind moaned, rustle of leaves. And here the author has made descriptions to let the reader feel: cool wind, tiring tree branches. Depending on what we're describing, including all of the senses can be difficult. At the end of the lesson, we'll learn a little trick to help with this. Number 4, organisation. Our descriptions shouldn't be just randomly thrown together. We could organise them chronologically, that is by time, or we might choose to organise by order of importance. Or the descriptions could be organised spatially, meaning we might focus on one part of an object and then move on to another. For example, if we were describing a person, we might start by describing physical features and then move on to describing actions. Or you might start at the top with their hair before moving down to their facial features and then on to their clothing, for example. Can you work out how this descriptive paragraph has been organised? Pause here while you reread it.
What do you think? How is this organized? Chronologically, by importance, spatially? Spatially, what makes you say that? Down, excellent. Yes, it's starting from like the wind around the tree, getting into the tree, down through the branches, and then the leaves falling and the squirrel going down the trunk into the leaves. So spatially organized from top to bottom. Excellent.
The description is organised spatially. It begins at the top of the tree, in the tree branches. The description then moves down the tree right to the bottom, where the squirrel scampers off. Let's have a go together at doing some descriptive writing. We'll use this picture to help us. Now, we don't need to stick exactly to what we see here. Let's just use it to help come up with ideas. Let's start by brainstorming some verbs and adjectives we might like to use. I'm going
to pause it right there. Well, we could hear what he says for 1 second.
to try to make sure I include some vivid verbs and precise adjectives.
Okay. So this is a pretty calm scene. There's not a lot going on. So we want to be able to convey that somehow. What would be some verbs that you could use to describe what you see happening?
Calm water.
Calm water, excellent. So those are some adjectives. That's precise adjectives. What's some, yeah? Steady, that's a great word for it. Steady clouds. Yeah, that's another way to describe the clouds. Adjectives. A lonesome house. That's charming. Yes, lonesome house. Another great adjective. What about the verb? So, what are some of the action words that, like you said, you don't have to stick to exactly what you see, but just kind of going with the feeling of the picture? What's an active way? We've got a lot of calmness in here, but what's a way to describe that?
Maybe still.
Yeah. Still, yeah. That sounds good. Yeah. Still, what were you saying, Angel? Quiet tides. Okay, great. Yep. They are coming in quietly, lapping soundlessly, or yeah. What about that sky? Is there a way that we could describe, if you've already gotten some description around the stillness of them, any verb that you could use to describe that they're
Mysterious.
mysterious? Great. That's great. They are mysterious. It's another descriptor. Is there something mysterious about how they're either not moving, or how could you describe some clouds maybe that's not moving or not moving quickly? What are some words that you could use?
Steady.
Yeah, the steady. It's another descriptor. Well, how about a verb though? What's a verb that could describe the way that they are moving?
Slow.
Yeah. Did you say low, Michael?
Oh, I said slow, but
Slow. Yeah, slow. Yep, they're moving slow.
and low.
Yeah, slow and low. Yeah. Yeah, maybe they're just hanging. That could be a way that they are existing there. Floating. Excellent. Excellent. That's a good vivid verb. Wonderful.
Pause here if you'd like to come up with some on your own. How did you go? Here are some verbs I came up with. Stretched, reached, hung, floated, drifted, meandered, perched, stood, blew.
Nice. Blue, like how about meander? What's this word mean? Yeah. Something meanders. What is it doing?
Is it like wandering around?
Exactly. It is exactly like wandering around. It's moving kind of slowly and aimlessly. So there isn't a point or direction to where someone's going. If you're meandering or clouds are meandering, they're just kind of moving around aimlessly. Excellent. Yeah.
And my adjectives: long, rickety, wooden, secluded, peaceful, calm, tranquil, soft, grey, and blue. Now let's make
I'm going to point out, you can hear the accent. This guy is Australian. I don't know why so many English videos are done by Australians. So that's when I find good videos. They're almost always not from the US. There's it is the British and Australian spelling of gray. In the US, we tend to use Gray. Grey is also acceptable, just in case you haven't seen that. How about what's tranquil mean? You hear that one before? Yeah. What does it conjure up for you, Anua? Yeah, serenity. Yes. So something very calm and serene is tranquil. It
Isn't
reminds you
tran
of a hospital. Oh, a hot spring could be tranquil.
isn't
Yeah,
tranquil from tranquility?
from tranquility.
Tran
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely. Yep. Same root. Tranquil, tranquility. You bet.
Like this happening again?
So it's just extremely calm, serene. It can provide a calming effect.
sure we include multiple senses. Most of these words are going to describe what it looks like. These words here could be used to describe the sense of touch. Can you think of anything we could add for taste, smell, or hear?
Okay, we can't, looking at a picture, know what it tastes like. things smell like or what people might hear if they were there, but we could imagine, use our imagination. Whether it's true or accurate or not, doesn't matter. How about taste? Can you think of anything that somebody that's standing here might taste?
All the way.
Absolutely. The salt from that ocean water's up in the air and we're tasting it. Yeah. What else might we taste? What's anybody had the sense of when they're on the beach? It's not just salt. Sometimes there's other things around. Some of them pleasant, some of them not so pleasant. Washed up fish on the shore, maybe. Sometimes the beach is a little stinky. Sometimes it has beautiful fragrance from the plants that are around it. So we might include some of those senses. How about what could we be hearing there?
Birds.
Absolutely. Yeah, there might be a whole lot of seagulls or something else making some bird noise here. What else might we hear?
Waves.
Absolutely. Yes. Even though that water looks fairly calm, probably
Yeah.
making some sound. Yeah. And then taste and smell are going to go together a whole lot here, right? We're going to smell as well as taste that ocean. We're going to be smelling the fish, hopefully, but it's so related, taste and smell. If we're smelling something, we're actually kind of tasting it, as disgusting as that can be under certain circumstances.
Here are some ideas we could play with. The sound of the water lapping against the pier, a scent carried on the breeze, the taste of salt in the air. Now, before we put our ideas together and start writing, let's take a moment to think about how we could organise our writing. Perhaps we could focus on one sense at a time. Or maybe we could focus on one part of the setting and then move on to the next. Before you start, remember the purpose of your writing: to describe the scene in such a way that allows the reader to build a strong image in their mind. And we're going to try to do that by showing, not telling. Pause here while you write.
Okay. So let's try just a sentence or two to describe what we're seeing here. If you use words that go beyond what you see here, that is completely fine. But if you were to describe this picture to someone and use some senses, what might you do? So take like 5-10 minutes to come up with a sentence or two to describe it, okay? And I'm going to be right back while you're working. Anybody need paper?
Yeah.
Fresh slice.
Well, I'm good at
You got
that. Thank you.
How's it going? Anybody have a sentence or two they want to share? Do you need a couple more minutes? Yeah, a couple more minutes. Okay. Very good. Good. Okay. Anybody have a sentence or two that they would like to share?
Is
Okay.
rusty old brown house on a late foggy night.
Nice. Okay, great. We've got Rusty Brown, we've got some sight things. And what was the second part of it?
On a late foggy night.
Late foggy night. Very nice. Foggy can give us a little bit of the feel. Rusty can give us a little bit of the feel. Fantastic. What else? Who else has a sentence they want to share or two? Huh. Okay, Dan, excellent. The sky softened into light shades, are blue and purple, and they danced with the dull gray clouds. I like that, danced. Meanwhile, the sea calmed as if it was playing a light melody. Beautiful, Dan. Yes, we've got a lot of things in there. That melody is giving us sound, senses, great verbs when we talk about how the sea calmed. We've got some colors in there, dull gray clouds, but we are also talking about how the sky colors are danced. Great, great vivid verbs. Thanks, Dan. Anybody else want to share some sentence? Okay. All right then.
How did you go? Here's a short passage I've written. If you like,
A long wooden pier reached out into the bay. Perched towards the end of the pier was a fisherman's shack. The mirror-like water reflected the threatening clouds that hung low overhead. A gentle breeze whispered through the salty air. We got a lot of senses in there.
leave your passage in the comments below. Descriptive writing can be a lot of fun, and practicing your descriptive writing is easy. Just choose an object from around the house. A chair, a pie, a raindrop on a window. The more ordinary the object, the greater the challenge. Before we finish, a few tips for your descriptive writing. Number 1, limit your use of the verbs from to be. Is, are, was, were. Number 2, set a word limit. This can encourage us not to waste words. If a word or sentence is not doing an important job for you, get rid of it. Number 3, play around with creative ways to include the 5 senses. Sometimes it can be tricky to include taste, for example, but perhaps you could use words which evoke a taste to describe other aspects. For example, in our descriptive writing about the beach, we could have likened the colour of the clouds to grapes. Not only would we have described the colour, we would have cleverly included the sense of taste at the same time. EasyTeaching.net.
All right. All right. Any questions about that? No, making sense. Okay. It's 6:54. Let's go ahead and take a 15-minute break. Come on back at 10 after 7. Oh, Michael had a great one in here too. The calm violet water rippled slightly as it greeted, I like that, the wet sand at the shore. Very nice, Michael. Break until 7:10. Welcome back. Welcome back. Got one more minute before I said we'd start class, so I'm gonna respect my own words and give it one more minute. Okay, 7:10. Welcome back. So the first example that I have to share right now is called The Blonde Guitar by Jeremy Burden. So you'll notice that when we are focused on descriptive writing, just because we're focused on that doesn't mean it doesn't have all the pieces of writing that we've already talked about. So after we read this, you can see that this is organized around a topic sentence and then supporting details. That's going to continue to be true, these different aspects of writing. We're just kind of looking at one piece at a time. It doesn't mean that the other stuff doesn't all exist. Would anyone like to volunteer to read this paragraph out loud? Anybody up to it? Okay. If nobody wants to, I'll do it, but I'm sure you're tired of hearing my voice. Okay. My most valuable possession is an old, slightly warped blonde guitar, the first instrument I taught myself how to play. It's nothing fancy, just a Madeira folk guitar, all scuffed and scratched and fingerprinted. At the top is a bramble of copper wound strings, each one hooked through the eye of a silver tuning key. The strings are stretched down a long, slim neck, its frets tarnished with the wood worn by years of fingers pressing chords and picking notes. The body of the Madeira is shaped like an enormous yellow pear, one that was slightly damaged in shipping. The blonde wood has been chipped and gouged to gray, particularly where the pickguard fell off years ago. No, it's not a beautiful instrument, but it still lets me make music, and for that I will always treasure it. So again, the comment here is that the writer is using a topic sentence. He's talking about his most valuable possession. It's an old, slightly warped guitar. Then he's going into details about why he values it and more about what it looks like. It's not just warped, he's going to go into details around it. Okay, so we are kind of traveling over this guitar. Can everybody picture it? What's Madeira? Anybody know? Or can we use context clues to guess? It's type of guitar. It's type of something even more specific than that.
Is wood.
It's a type of wood. Yeah, excellent, Amalfi. Yes, it's a type of wood. All right, let's answer some questions about this. What are some of the sensory words used to describe this guitar? So, sight, smell, sound. What do we see in here? Touch. Enormous yellow pair. Yeah, excellent. What else?
Slim neck.
Fantastic. Slim neck. Yes.
Copper round strings.
Yes. Yes. The wood wound and the copper wound strings. And what exactly did it? Wood worn by years. Yep. And the copper wound strings, both great.
Silver tuning key.
Yeah. Silver tuning key. Scuffed. Excellent. Yes. Great.
God, what have you done? Looking pony girl.
Sing it out, Dan. Sing it out. Identify some of the vivid verbs used. We kind of got those. We were mixing them in with our descriptive sensory words. Some of them were vivid verbs. Can we go back and take another look? What are some of the vivid verbs? So it's an actiony thing happening.
The all scratch and fingerprinting.
Yeah, scratched is definitely a verb. Excellent. Scuffed too. We could scuff something. What else?
Pressing.
Pressing. Great. Anybody see any other verbs in there? Vivid verbs? How about, oh yeah, got one in the chat. That's okay, Dan. I like the singing. How about hooked? That's an active thing to hook those around there.
Wood chip count as thing? Or
So wood chipped, the act of chipping something is definitely a verb. This is kind of like what's remaining. It gets tricky, kind of like the scuffed and scratched. Those things are active things to do, but the result is the way that we're describing them.
Would picking be one?
Yeah, picking. Yep. Yeah, great. Okay. What's the author's method of organization? So is this chronological, spatial, or order of importance?
would it be order?
I think so on this one.
No, could like describe something.
Yeah, it's going to be spatial. He is moving from one part of the guitar down to the next. So at the top, starts off there, moving down the strings, the long, slim neck, and then it's getting into the wood and the body of it. So he's kind of moving spatially through that guitar. Great. And last, the author describes his guitar as fairly damaged. Why do you think he treasures it? Probably, maybe that's it. Yeah, he might have taught himself how to play. It's old. Yeah. Do you get the impression that the author is the one that wore it down and made all of those scratches, or do you get the impression that he got it from somebody else that's scratched?
It got damaged in shipping.
Damage in shipping, yeah. Yeah. We don't know exactly, but it could be that he's really attached to it because he's the one that did all that wearing after it was damaged in shipping. Yeah, we don't know exactly, but anybody here play guitar? No. People get pretty attached to their instruments, when you're working on stuff. Does she?
Yeah,
Yeah. Nice. Has she named it?
I think so. She
Yeah.
has a guitar and 3 electric guitars.
Oh, nice. Wow, and 3 electric guitars. And Dan, you play? Nice. All right, great. Let's try another one. This is an absolutely fantastic longer. So this has quite a few questions with it. How to eat a guava. So this author is pretty famous for this book that is titled When I Was Puerto Rican. And this is her description of missing eating guava and describing how to eat guava. So let's take 5 to 10 minutes just to read this, and then there are questions we will answer together. Make sure to identify words that you come across that you aren't familiar with and haven't seen before. I recommend if you are on Zoom to go ahead and open this up on your own because it is 2 pages and I want you to be able to move through it at your own pace. Oh, let me read about the author for a minute first, though. That's kind of valuable. Esmeralda Santiago grew up in Puerto Rico, the eldest of 11 children. At age 13, she moved to New York City with her mother, her brothers, and her sisters. Living in Puerto Rico and in New York, she says, has some extent made her feel that she doesn't quite fit into either culture, a feeling she highlights in the title of her memoir, When I Was Puerto Rican. In the note to readers in the book, she writes, when I returned to Puerto Rico after living in New York for 7 years, I was told I was no longer Puerto Rican because my Spanish was rusty, my gaze too direct, my personality too assertive. Yet in the United States, my darkness, my accented speech, my frequent lapses into confused silence between English and Spanish identified me as foreign, not American. In writing the book, I wanted to get back to that feeling of Puerto Ricanness I had before I came here. Its title reflects who I was then and asks, who am I today? After graduating from Harvard University, Santiago earned a master's degree from Sarah Lawrence College. She currently lives in Westchester County, New York. Now, after years of struggling with not being entirely at home in her 2 cultures, Santiago says she defines home as the place where I am. It's pretty common theme for people that have lived or are kind of bicultural. Anybody relate to that? Kind of being trapped between multiple places. Okay, I'll be quiet now so you can read. Okay, when you are finished reading that, we're going to answer some questions about it. For those of you in here, it's the second page. The questions are written out. You can take a look at those.
Pauline,
Yeah.
do I turn my assignments to you tomorrow?
Oh, yeah, you can totally do that, Mommy. Yes.
Okay.
Now let's go ahead and work on these questions together unless anybody's still reading. Okay. Awesome. The first one is find the word crevices. What do you think it means? Use your context clues. We've got crevices back here up in paragraph 3. Boom. The crevices between your teeth. What's crevice? What does it mean? Yeah. Something narrow. That's great. Yeah. Yeah, crevices. So just those little spots between your teeth. But sometimes we talk about crevices when we're talking about rock, right? That's a really common place to see crevices, and that is exactly a narrow space between that has opened up between rock. Excellent. How about the next one is enticing? And that one occurs over here in this 5th paragraph. Yeah, convincing, you said? Absolutely. It's convincing you. It's like drawing you in. Like, come on, you can do it. I'm convincing you to have another one. So it's enticing. Great. How did you know that, or were you familiar with the word before?
The word is said like more and more.
Yeah. Absolutely convincing. Like a chip or something like that that you can't stop eating. Yeah. Excellent. Okay, the next word they're asking about is grimace. And we can find grimace down here in 8. Oop. You grimace, your eyes water, and your cheeks disappear as your lips purse into a tight O. What do we think grimace is? Yeah, absolutely. It's making a face for sure. Anybody else have a way to describe grimace or can imagine? Yeah, great. Yeah. So we all have that experience, I'm sure, of having something that's like too sour, making your eyes water, can just like scrunch up your face. For sure. Okay, the next one they're asking about is these. I could feel the texture against my tongue, the tiny pink pellets of sweet. What does pellet mean here?
Something round, probably.
Probably something round. Yeah, that's really good. Large or small? Probably small. Pellets are often small, or we would describe them differently, like balls or boulders or what's that? Yeah, maybe the seeds. I I don't eat guavas very much. Anybody here eat guava? Yeah, do you? And are they kind of like pomegranate or something where the fruit is wrapped around each little seed? No, it isn't. What's it like? There are seeds in it. Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, I get you. So they're just like embedded in there throughout. Excellent. Okay. So it sounds like when they describe the texture against my tongue, the tiny pink pellets of sweet, that this is not a smooth fruit. There's little tiny kind of bits to it. All right. How about the last word they wanted us to identify as the very last one of the reading, bittersweet. What's that one? What's the meaning of bittersweet? Not as good? Yeah, why? What are some absolutely, it's not as good. Why is it not as good? Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah. What else? It's got the words right in there, right? Bitter, that's not always a great thing. Great flavor, sweet. So when we've got those two together, it's like absolutely, yeah, there's kind of like a goodness and a badness mixed together. So it's a really nice choice of word here because we have both the emotional side of the good and bad of this fruit um, that that we're talking about, but also the taste sensation of the fruit. So both bitter and sweet at once, but also the emotional, like kind of good and bad, bitter and sweet. All right. So let's keep going with the questions. Number 6, what effect does seeing the guava in the store have on Santiago? What effect of just seeing the guava, not even tasting it, but just seeing it? What is she feeling?
Very broad memories back to a good childhood.
Absolutely, it's bringing back memories of her childhood. Do you think these are really happy? Like, how is she feeling about it? Were they happy memories? Were they sad memories? Yeah, it seems like she's looking back on the happiness of childhood, but there's some separation from that. So maybe it's sad to think back on the happy times that are not existing right now. Now, why do you think Santiago hasn't eaten a guava since leaving Puerto Rico? Yeah, they're not going to be as good. She talks about how picking them in particular months, and by the time they get to the US, it's just not quite as good. But what are some other reasons that she might not want to eat it?
She thinks she's no longer a child.
Yeah, absolutely. It could be that. There's definitely some sadness in here of just the pain. These are kind of painful memories. So not wanting to eat it would not only it not taste as good as it did back when she was a child, but tasting it, if she did, could take her too much back to her childhood, and that might be a little too painful to bear.
She misses Puerto Rico.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. How about anybody have a childhood food that really evokes memories for you? Yeah, Montez.
The Choco Taco, man.
Choco taco, nice choice. Yeah. Isn't that with ice cream in it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. I was similar. I was thinking of popsicles because it's not something that I don't eat popsicles as an adult, but what do you think about being outside in the summer running around as a kid? Seems to be a lot of popsicles. What else? What other things do people have that bring back memories of their childhood? Eggs?
Thanks.
Oh, figs. Oh yeah.
Kool-Aid.
Fig tree and yeah. What did you say, Amalfi?
Kool-Aid.
I don't
Like
know what that
juice.
is.
The juice Kool-Aid?
Kool-Aid.
Oh,
Oh, Kool-Aid. Oh, Kool-Aid. Yeah, thank you. Huh, I just like I need a translator all the time. Thank you for stepping in and translating for me. I don't know what's wrong with me hearing over the speakers. Getting old, I guess. I don't know. Kool-Aid, yeah, that's totally a childhood flavor that we may not want to visit again. You love it? You love Kool-Aid now? Nice.
no, I don't.
What's the good flavor? Tell me, what's the good flavor? Purple, purple, red. Yeah, grape. And why does Santiago as an adult prefer the predictable and bittersweet ripeness of apple and pears? What does that mean when she says prefer the bittersweet ripeness, predictable? What's predictable about those, about apples and pears for Santiago? Why would apples and pears be more predictable?
They're done. And so by the time they get here, it doesn't know that they're
Absolutely, that's great. I can't speak to guavas, but I know this about mangoes all the time. You know, when you pick a mango, sometimes it's just a great mango, it's so delicious, and sometimes it's just like garbage, and you can't really tell exactly when you're getting it. So I think apples and pears, you can kind of tell, like they're gonna be a medium good kind of all the time. So that's a predictability that you could face there. But what about the bittersweetness? There is she saying. What is she saying about it being bittersweet in that case? How about when you have a fruit that you really love and it happens to be the perfect ripeness? It's so good, right? And then the flip side of that is when you want that fruit and it's really bad, it's just really bad and you're really disappointed. But if you go for something that's a little bit more bland in the middle, you're like, well, it's reliable, but there's no high highs and low lows. It's just an apple. You know what I'm saying? All right. Very good, people. Okay. One more. We're going to return to Frankenstein. Take another look at a little excerpt from Frankenstein and answer some questions based on the descriptive writing that went into this part of the chapter. Okay, are we done reading? Okay, we can go over the questions together then. Okay, what are some of the words and phrases in here that are giving you a description of the physical setting?
Top of the ascent.
Absolutely, right out of the gates, top of the ascent. What else?
Relates to sea of ice.
Fantastic, very physical. What other ones do we have?
A breeze.
Yeah, for a while, there's almost like nonstop physical descriptions in here, right? Breeze, glacier, surface being uneven, rising like waves. We've got a lot of physical description for sure. What senses is Mary Shelley using to appeal to in this passage? What senses?
I said sound with breeze dissipated the cloud.
Nice. Got some sound. What else?
Night.
Sight, for sure. Absolutely. Lots of examples of sight. How about feeling? Any touch?
Surface is very uneven.
Excellent. Yes. Very good. Very good. Okay. How does Shelley's use of language affect the overall feeling of this passage? What kind of feeling do you walk away with?
It's a awe.
Yeah, for sure. A sense of awe. That's a good one. This is a pretty dramatic physical setting. Yeah. What else? What else? What other feelings does it evoke?
I also said the overwhelming power of nature.
Wonderful. Yes. It sounds
Faith.
kind of.
Faith and happiness.
Say that again.
Faith and happiness.
And then happiness? Could
Am I
be.
in the wrong one?
I don't. The Frankenstein excerpt right here.
I don't know. No, I think it's the one.
Yeah, the one that's on the screen right now. It was nearly noon.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
says on the bottom. It
Yeah,
says
because it's faint happiness for sure. Yeah, this faint happiness and the joys of life. Wandering spirits, if indeed you wander and do not rest in your narrow beds, allow me this faint happiness, or take me as your companion away from the joys of life. So, what do you think that means?
sounds creepy.
Yeah, sounds creepy. Yeah. If you were take me away from my joys of life. So right above that, it says, my heart, which was before sorrowful, now swelled with something like joy. So there's a feeling here of just like maybe being alone, maybe struggling across this landscape, but then kind of standing back in awe and wonder of all of these things. And it sounds like they feel really small, like in the grandness of it all. So yeah, you're absolutely right, Mothi. There was some happiness and joy. Good. How does Shelley personify nature in this passage? Anybody? What does that mean to personify nature?
Describe?
We're definitely going to be describing it. Yeah. For what purpose? So if we personify something that is not human, we're giving it human-like characteristics. Okay. So it's like if we were to describe something in nature of the way that trees were hanging, we could think of them as being creepy or having some agenda. But that may or may not be true, right? It may not be that That's just the way it grows. So it doesn't mean that it's creepy. But when we personify things, we're giving them like a human-like agenda or feelings associated with it. Can you find anywhere in here that it seems to be personifying?
An awful majesty.
Yeah, that's great. What else?
The sorrow, the joy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's in the joy for sure. What do you think they say, wandering spirits, if indeed ye wander? Kind of, it's animating the things that they're seeing as if like the nature is doing its own wandering. And why do you think Mary Shelley included such a detailed description of the mountains and glacier before the creature appears? So this is a moment before this Frankenstein monster appears. So it's the character of Victor Frankenstein, the creator, sees the monster Frankenstein that we know of, like appear out of this. Why would they bother going into this detailed description of mountains and glacier?
To compare the monster.
To compare, for sure. Yeah, that's a good one, to compare and contrast against that monster. What do you think that gives you if you imagine being in this just huge icy landscape that is beautiful and awesome, but really enormous before you? And then a person was there. How would you feel about that? Excited? Yeah. Scared? It depends if it's somebody you want to see or not, right? For sure. Like, oh, thank goodness I'm not alone, or uh-oh, I'm out here all alone with nothing. And how did they also manage to be in this very difficult, dangerous place? Look at it like that. Okay, lots of descriptive words in there. Lots of descriptive words. Okay, now is the opportunity for that activity that we are going to share and do together. And this is about your favorite food. So describing something that is your favorite food. But I don't want you to tell me exactly what it is. Please don't tell me the name of it. I want you to describe it so that when you exchange it with someone, or if you're on Zoom, you read it to your classmates, they need to guess what food it is, right? So you can use all the terms to describe all the pieces of it, but don't just come out and say it's pizza. You know, it's like, oh, the delicious crust, oh, the warm cheese, you're going to put it together to create a picture for us. And take us through the sights, smells, flavor of this food, and give enough description so that we can imagine eating it. Think about how you're going to organize it. Sometimes it's like from the top to the bottom, or maybe it's like, first I'm going to smell it, then I'm going to taste it, then I'm going to get the touch of what it's like. Is it, is it a soup? Is it slippery? Is it something that is crunchy? Think about that way. So you can either do the order in which you eat it, the way that you experience it. You can describe it top to bottom, or something else. It could be like the part of it that you love the most, and then get to something else. You want to use as much sensory description as you can. And we're aiming for a short paragraph. Here's an example. The cool, smooth texture of the skin gives way to a firm, slightly tangy bite, followed by the burst of sweetness that floods my mouth. The flesh is soft yet fibrous, its juicy interior offering a refreshing contrast to the slight bite of its outer peel. As I chew, the faint floral aroma lingers in the air, mingling with a hint of citrus The flesh, a vibrant orange, is both velvety and juicy, dripping with each bite, leaving a lingering sweetness that dances on my tongue. Each slice feels like a little burst of sunshine, its bright, refreshing taste soothing and energizing all at once. Can anybody guess what that might be? It's given a lot of description, but it's not really like focusing it too succinctly. Any ideas? How about what kind of food would it be? That's a great guess. It's got an outer peel. There's citrus. But if they are biting through it, the slight bite of the outer peel, I don't know anybody that eats right through an orange would eat the peel. Yeah, could be. Could be. I think it's a mango, but they don't say. And a pear works just as well for the way that this is described, for sure. Okay, so you are going to write your own paragraph about a food that you like. Think about these things as you're writing because your people that you exchange it with are going to be reviewing based on these things. Can you guess what food's being described? What questions do you have about how it's prepared? Which adjectives help you see, feel, taste, smell, and touch this food? What phrase or sentence did you like best in this paragraph? Which verbs help you experience the food? What might help you have a better understanding? So they're going to give you some feedback after you've written it. And then for our assignment today, you are going to rewrite the same paragraph based on the feedback you get. If anyone has any clarifications that they need, you'll incorporate that into your paragraph. Okay. Any questions before we get going?
So, right now,
Right now, we're going to write a paragraph, like 4 or 5 sentences, not a huge paragraph. Make sure you've got descriptors in there, as much of the senses as we can, and some good precise verbs. And then we are going to trade these around to read. So let's take about 15 minutes to write. If you're not sure how to get started, you can refer back to that descriptive list of senses. Might jog your memory on how you want to describe this food. Struggling to come up with food? Got it. Would anybody else have questions? Yeah, pretty hard. Okay, so, if. What you feel like you're trying to come up with words rather than. Make a little movie in your mind, but. What's the very first thing? That's what you notice. You need it. Or how about this? Do you use like a fork so you eat it, or is it something you pick up to eat? We could do it. What would you do? Yeah. So imagine that kind of like that first bite, what it feels there. What's the sensation? And or how much you could eat it. Yeah. So if you're struggling getting started, I suggest like kind of creating that little movie in your mind of when you eat it. Do you use silverware or not? Or is it something that you pick up? What is the first sensation when it hits your tongue? Is it something crunchy and scratchy? Or is it something very smooth that you can just swallow? What is that flavor? So you can kind of hit some different things. Do you smell it before you eat it?
How many sentences?
Enough to describe it, like 4 or 5.
Okay.
If you're such an excellent descriptor, it could be shorter, but maybe you need more. It depends. Bless you. Those of you on Zoom, if you want to give me a thumbs up when you have something written, it's not something that you will have to show your writing, bless you, but read it. You'll read it to someone else. Okay, Amalfi's got it done. Thank you. It's not that serious. This does not have to be very serious. You got it? Okay.
I think so. Do we put our names?
Sure, yeah. Thank you.
Do we hand it to you or?
Nope, just hang on to it. When everybody's done writing, then we're gonna trade them. See if we can guess what food.
You want us to write it in the chat?
You don't have to write it in the chat. What I'll do is when everybody that's on Zoom has it done, I will put you into, there's 4 people, so I'll put you into 2 groups and you'll just take turns reading it to each other, okay?
Oh,
So you
okay.
don't have to type it all out. Are you finished, Michael?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Michael is, Amalfi is. How about Dan and Christopher? Need a little bit more time, Dan and Christopher?
I'm finished.
You're finished. Okay. Christopher, are you out there? Okay. You know what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put you all in one room, so that you don't have to hear us in here because everybody's gonna be talking in here for a moment. So the 3 of you, well, and Christopher, if you're there, I'll put you all in one room. And if you would please just take turns reading your little paragraph and then think about these questions. Can you describe the food? Can you guess what food's being described? What questions do you have for the writer about how the food was prepared? Which adjectives helped you see, feel, taste, touch this food? So like what was really working in there for you? What verbs helped you experience the food? Okay. And then what phrase or sentence did you like best in the paragraph? And the last one would be like a critique. What else might you want to hear that would help you understand what this food was? Okay, so think about these things as people read it. I am going to put you in a Zoom room. Okay. Boom. All right. And I'll come get you in about 5 to 10 minutes after you've had a chance to discuss these questions. And you'll just have to select join. Okay. All right. So if you would in here, please match up with someone else. Or two people, and just, you can do the same thing, read it out loud to your fellows, and see if you can answer those questions, okay? To see what room worked well in that, and or what you might need to add when you redo it, okay?
There's an odd number.
There's an odd number, that's okay, you can have 3 in a group. Thank you. Get out there, be brave. It's not as bad as you think. It's gonna work out.
Do we read them to him?
Yeah, you can just read it. You can just read it if that's all right.
So-
Yeah.
A nice cool soggy wet texture of this amazing thing is the best thing you could taste. The first few bites are rich and juicy. Then comes the sweet flavored it slowly goes down your throat smoothly. It leaves violet colors in your lips and tongue.
Can you guess what food he described? Yes, please. Yes, please. Even just a little bit. If you haven't written it all down, you can just start talking about the food in that way.
This dish ingredients is made by wrapping a soft, warm bit of bread around thin slices of meat that are roasted and toasted until they are golden and slightly crispy on the edges. The meat is juicy, herby, and full of flavors, even with spices that make your mouth watery on the first bite. Inside the wrap, there is a creamy, tangy white sauce, fresh red tomatoes, and sharp slices of onion. It looks colorful and each bite has a mix of soft bread and juicy meat and cream topping. The smell is rich and fresh.
First, I wonder if that's pasta or something like that.
No, yeah, I said it's made by wrapping a soft, warm bit of bread around slices of meat. Yeah, and the inside is like sauce and tomatoes, onions.
How's it going?
Yeah, this one is.
What is it?
I don't know how to pronounce it, but they say gyro.
So if you're stuck, it's just to just begin imagining the one kind of food. It does not have to be your favorite food. It's just like one of the things that you know when you eat something, you smell it and it's nice to dish. Do you like that or no? What kind of texture is in mouth?
What will it?
And I just.
Okay, and if you can't get through this right now, just want to you're already. Yeah. Let me know. Okay. Yes, you're already. Scary.
Have you ever had gyro?
Yes, yeah. That's yours? Oh, yeah, nice, that's delicious.
I like that.
Comes from Greece, yeah, that's excellent. Soft warm bread around this, especially cut. Vertical stick. It makes me want one right now. Excellent. So how about, we'll start with the positive, the most positive part. So what was like the best line in each of yours that really helped you like transport you to tasting it or feeling what it was? Can you look at each other's and figure out what's the best sentence in each other's writing?
I think it was very helpful.
Yeah, but which sentence in each of which sentence is the, yeah, so like which phrase or sentence in each of the writing was like the quintessential, like, oh, now I've got it. Yeah, I believe it's like. Very good. Way that she's describing. Uh-huh.
And more slightly close to.
Yeah, the sauce.
The description is good, but
Right.
talk about like there's anything like very description of the food itself, or is there like pasta or anything like that? So the description of the
Yeah.
taste better.
Yeah, these are really great descriptors. Flavors exploding and slowly goes down your throat smoothly. But you're right, if I read this, I have no idea. I have no hints to what it is. Yeah.
So is this for like kind of crispy or?
It's soft, soggy,
Hot.
no, it's soggy and cold.
Well, what else, what other ways could you, just some phrases, you don't even have to write them down. What are some phrases that would help us?
Have you had that?
Yeah.
It's soggy.
Yeah. It's what is it?
There's actually.
Oh, yeah, delightful. Okay, so what else could we have included in here to help us know that it's sweet? Yes.
There's sweet creams.
You could talk about, right, the whole cake is round, is it not? It's not usually square, is it? So you could talk about the color.
Yeah,
You could talk about, using, because we know it's smooth and it slides down your throat, but you could talk about how the fork goes into it, and then you like go some away and then like what that's like, because it is firm. You did talk about some of that, didn't you?
Yes.
Wet texture, maybe, but it does stay together to take a bite of it. Right? Or are you spooning it?
Yeah.
You spoon it. Okay, so yeah, so you can describe it on the spoon, describe the color.
It has like different colors.
Oh, yeah.
Better describe them.
Similar.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, what was your post? Yeah, but what is it? Oh, sturgeon. Sturgeon, oh, nice, yeah.
Problem is,
Okay.
sometimes people write from their culture or from another culture.
Yeah.
We don't always know anything. Yeah.
Share my keyboard.
I have some. You got some.
I didn't know that.
It's just different words. Yeah, because
Those are good, like.
more. Yeah, Greek.
Have you ever had sturgeon?
Yes, yeah, it's good. It's really good.
Do you recommend it?
Yeah, absolutely, but I like fish a lot. So if you don't, you're not gonna like it. Right? If you don't like fish, you're not gonna like it. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna join you guys.
Down somewhere, but who knows? Oh, Colleen's here. Hi.
Hello, hello. How's it going in here?
Good.
Good. Could you figure out each other's food? Pick them out of here? Oh my gosh. No. No. Okay. Dang it. No, they're there. Okay. Pardon me? Oh, of course. Yeah, there's plugs over there. Yeah. Do you have a cable? Okay, good. Because I don't have any charging stuff with me tonight. Okay, welcome back, Michael. Thank you. Welcome
Yeah,
back.
Dan did a really good job on the recipe. I just didn't know it because it wasn't like a soup that I would know. But
Yeah.
if I was maybe from the culture, I would know it right away, I think so.
Absolutely. We talked about that in here too. Sometimes we're sharing foods that each other just is not familiar with, and that's totally fine. But if we're getting some description of what it is, we don't have to figure it out. We are never going to know each other's recipes, all of the
No,
things.
I loved it. It was just that I just didn't know because I wasn't used to it. But the flavors and what she named, the way she described it was really cool.
Ah, fantastic, fantastic.
He, him
And
pronouns,
were
please.
yeah, Dan, and how about Michael? Was he did he get some good descriptions in there that you could give him some feedback about what worked best?
Yeah. Definitely like good tone. You could tell when like the meal was having, there was some descriptive on the flavor.
Okay.
Took a few guessings, but I got it.
Excellent. So in your conversation, and this is for everybody, in your conversation, did you find ways that would improve what you wrote so that you could rewrite it, edit it, and send it back to me so that it's a little bit more complete than it was for the first draft?
Yes.
Okay. Awesome.
Same
Awesome. How
here.
about you get? You all get ways to do a little editing or improve what you wrote, change it a little bit so that it's more clear for the reader? Okay, awesome. Then that is the assignment for tonight. And let me just show you how it's being graded. Oh yeah, thank you. You can always see exactly what you are being graded on inside here, these rubrics. So the evaluation and feedback looks like this. Word choice. So you get 2 points for having specific adjectives in here, 2 points for having vivid verbs that describe it, and then 1 point for paragraph organization. Because all our assignments in here, until we get to the very end and write a big essay, they're all worth 5 points. So you can always look at exactly what you're being scored on. So this takes us back to the same activity we just did. Consider the feedback that you received from your classmate. And there are the questions again that just kind of help jog your memory of like what's going to make this even better. Okay. So edit your paragraph, send it back to me. You can either do it right now, fill it out, and or you can bring it back to me on paper or you can submit it online. Okay. Any questions about that? Okay. Yeah, you're very welcome. Don't stress about it. It's not a big deal. It's just a description, but that's it for tonight. So you can either work on it now or at home.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you, Colleen.
Thank you, Michael.
See you Wednesday. Thank you, Dan. That was awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thanks a lot. Take care. Thank you. Yes. Great job, Howell. That was a very good description.
Can you show me how to get to the place to turn it in online? I'm having issues finding it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me close this and take you back out. So I'm going to make it look like a student so that you will be seeing the same things as me. So this is the home page. Everything can be found under content. You have two ways to find it. You can go into the day that we did, which was descriptive writing under week 4. So I pick week 4 and then I do descriptive writing. The assignment's always the very last thing in here. So if I scroll to the very bottom and I choose this descriptive writing, then I can see how it's graded again. And then I would say add a file once I have finished writing and submit. Okay.
Found it and then go to
The other way
control.
that you can always find things is if you just click on assignments, but then you have to know the name of what assignment it was, but it's here, descriptive writing.
All right, and then back to my old page. Descriptive writing.
Yeah, descriptive writing.
That assignment was a lot of fun.
Oh, excellent. I'm so glad. Every once in a while, there's a fun one.
I sent that in the wrong. Cancel. Add.
Okay, I'm still here, but I'm gonna stop recording now. Bye to those watching.